prediction in terms of just allowing the defense to bunker down a little bit more efficiently.
And there we go.
Yeah, okay, so prediction's absolutely true, and it's the same team to ban out Montaigne as we saw in the previous map. Space Station, they just, I guess they don't want to deal with Montaigne. I get it, I do. He's a very dangerous operator, and likewise for Penta, Glaz going to be taken out. That's the same exact ban. So we can see Maestro right here, as that makes sense. It's a direct counter ban to Redeemer. There he goes. And then I imagine Mira would be a good ban on Clubhouse, though not as good as other maps. Maybe a Mute or an Echo. If Penta were struggling with the Mute on the last map, then they would ban him here, but we can't tell because we don't hear their comms. Thinking an Echo, maybe? No, it's going to be Mira again. So
same exact bans as map 1.
Yeah, I was hoping that there was going to be something a little bit different there with my predictions, but no, it seems like we're going to be going for the same.
It makes sense, though, when you look at, obviously, the standard play on this map and the results, more so from Penta yesterday that they had against Chaos. They just don't want to deal with that. The Glaz is more of a universal ban, but the Montaigne, I think that Space Station are very worried about dealing with that on defense, and they have to play that first. So,
yeah, the Mirror ban is the only one that I question a little bit. She's definitely a really good operator on every map. She's good on this map as well, but she's not as good on this map as she is on some others. She's definitely going to give you some advantage on certain engagements, especially if you're worried about a church wall take on the basement. She is the perfect operator to deal with that. You can set up a mirror window on that church wall, and that's where we're going to be going actually the first round downstairs, but I don't know. I don't think she's an essential ban on this map, if any.
We saw yesterday Penta, if I remember correctly, still having decent success on this site and trying to take it when they were playing against Chaos. It did take them to very, very low time situations, and obviously they had the Montaigne, to work with in that match yesterday, which helped them out quite a bit in clearing things down that 90 hallway and allowing for easier access to either of the sites, just kind of fishing out players from Chaos one by one. So the play style from them on this map is going to have to be just a little bit different against the Maverick being brought in from Penta, though, and that should help to deal with this very hard lockdown site.
You know, in the beginning of Siege Esports, this was probably the hardest anchor site in the entire game. Since the changes to Clubhouse, though, you can roam. You can make it work. It's still difficult, and it leaves you very exposed. It's generally considered a risk, but Space Station are not the type of team to back down from a risk. They're usually the ones to go headfirst into it. And especially when you have Bosco roaming as Jaeger, we can see it actually turn out successful. Now, Penta could be clearing in through the middle floor to start things off. Of course, they're going to be working their way up. Kind of dangerous the way that they're organizing this clear, considering there are 3 roamers on the top floor right now for Space Station.
Yeah, Space Station, as we take a look at their setup, it's going to be aimed a lot more over here towards the garage area and cash room to try and fend off Penta if they try to clear in through construction. However, at the same time, we take a look, and Penta's very well aware of this. They've got plenty of eyes on these positions ready to catch Space Station if they try to make a run at them from the side of cash room. So they're going to be ready for any attempts in that direction, and should be able to, at minimum, guarantee a relatively even fight in those situations.
Anix waiting for the drone from his teammate. Once he has it, he'll start that clear. But look at that. Half of the round already transpired. We've seen Penta work miracles with very little time, though, already in this match. On the first map, they won a lot of attacking rounds with only 15 seconds left. But they're on the top floor, and the bomb site is in the basement. This does not necessarily bode well for them. They have not fully cleared out the roamers, and they're actually going to give up on that roam clear. They've decided they don't have enough time to fully clear out the roamers. That is not a good sign for the attackers.
And as such, the roamers are going to start to move themselves downstairs at this point. They haven't really faced much contention at all from their side over towards cash rooms. So they're just going to rejoin the players on site at this point and try to contest a little bit more towards the hallway as well.
Looks like it's going to be an armory take here. You can see the Ash Panic setting himself up to open up that armory wall. Hopefully Space Station have good tools to hold that. Enemy will take down Chala using the pistol, no less. And that's the first frag of the map. It's a church wall take, though, in fact, from Penta, not an armory push. And they're going to have full control as Panix pushes in. He will be downed, but not finished off. Phoenix finally gets him, but Sir Boss with a double kill. Hungry as well, getting his own kill. It's just Redeemer, and he's not in a good position to clutch it. He's stuck seemingly inside of the armory, using his yokai drone to gather some information and disorient the defuse planter, but it's too late. The diffuser has been placed, and now he has to fight against an even more daunting mountain.
It's stunned out by the lifeline charge, and it's going to really just lock him into position here inside of the armory. Not really a whole lot left he can do in this situation, considering it's the 1v4. Tries to check the yokai drones, but those are long gone. And upon the peek to his left side, Sir Boz is waiting through an open hole to take him down as Penta start things off with a win on attack here on their own map choice.
So, Penta keeping the momentum going off of that first map win. And they are in a great stride right now. Only one round into this map, of course, but winning that attack onto the basement and pretty handily. You gotta give it to them. They tried to clear the roamers, completely unsuccessful, but they didn't get distracted by it. They decided to divert and simply attack into the church wall. And I like that decision-making process. I really gotta appreciate it. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a problem. I thought the roamers from Space Station were going to make something happen, but no. Actually, they didn't accomplish anything. Once the roam clear stopped, the roamers from Space Station just came back to site and got taken out with the rest of them. And there's not much else to say about that. Space Station really struggling on the anchor, something that you were touching on in the previous map.
And that's going to continue to be the trend, even on that basement site. They'll continue to go for it, though, as they'll try it one more time to see if it works out. I'd imagine this would be the last time before they switch it over. Unless, like I said before, they're wanting to take that page out of Empire's book and just keep going until they can eventually close out the site.
They're either going to win here and not be able to play it again, or they're not going back to the basement for a while. I don't see them banging their head against that wall too much, and I'm sure if they lose this again, I mean, like he might even call that timeout to be like, hey guys, pick a different site, like he did last time.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even necessarily the lurkers being out of position that managed to mess with. They just lost in the engagement. They had plenty of time to pull their lurkers back. I think pretty much every single one of them. None of them had been taken out, obviously, early on in the round, and they pulled all of them back from back steps and managed to work their way back down into the basement beforehand. So they had everyone there ready to fight, but it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah, like I said, it was what you were talking about on the previous map. The anchors from Space Station struggle. I mean, they really don't seem to have, I don't know, the wherewithal to handle Penta when the actual execution comes out. Whatever Penta's doing, Space Station are struggling with it. One thing I will say is Penta has been bringing Zofia, which we noted a while back, I believe it was yesterday. We're talking about how Zofia hasn't been getting played nearly as much on LAN as she does get played online. But not so for Penta. They bring her and they bring the Ashe. So they're putting a huge emphasis on that fragging potential and that actual burst clear into the site, which makes a lot of sense because the only way Penta's going to be able to win any of these rounds, considering how they're playing it, is with that burst potential being as high as it is, because they leave it to the last 15, 30 seconds before they actually start pushing the site. So you have to have that explosive entry.
So similar start for Penta here. They open the Bard Memorial hatch. They are, you can see the guys over here on Penta going to also be looking to try and clear things out just through the floorboards here. And in the meanwhile, take a look at Penta once again is going to get good intel moving in on this drone here.
There's only one player in Armory right now, and I'm a little bit worried for Space Station. It's the Echo. Now, he's going to be typically the one to gather information, but you can see that Penta is droning this out very thoroughly, and that leads me to believe that they might actually execute onto Arsenal this time around, because, I mean, they have the tools to do just that. All they need to do is lifeline, open the wall into B, run from the main stairs, and bam, you're in Armory. Redeemer dies, and there's no one to hold, but Rampy has actually made the rotation there to double up on this. I guess...
Yeah, what intel did they have for that?
Yeah, they must have had some kind of intel, maybe hearing some footsteps and trying to go for a kill. But it's going to be a church wall attack again. Rampy using the bandit to trick that exothermic charge. Great job there. Redeemer will get one, but he will be taken out by Sir Boss. And here we go. It's actually a fake out. An Arsenal take from Penta, and they are well in the site. Do they have the diffuser, though? That's the question. There's no one trying to plant right now, and it's going to be actually a cleanup from Rampy and Chala. Space Station take their first round A disjointed attack there from Penta.
Something had to have happened with the diffuser, because unfortunately that seemed to be the only key missing ingredient. And there it is right there. You just saw it get dropped. It was way in the back by the stairs, so it didn't have it on site. Didn't have enough time, obviously, to lock down their positions before the immediate retake came back in from Space Station. So they do successfully, on the second attempt, take control of the basement, which will, of course, will now lock it out for the next 2 rounds and tie things up at 1-1. So we're in for a very similar affair that we had on Coastline, at least at the start here, as the teams will just be trading rounds back and forth.
Okay, so I really have to say, I appreciate Penta being able to mix things up on the fly there. Their exothermic charge did not work on the church wall, so they decided, hey, let's just open up Arsenal. They realized that, yeah, there's not a pretty light defense in Arsenal. We can maybe make that work. But the diffuser, I mean, so far afield, and that cannot happen. I mean, not only if you're going to be going for a church wall attack, but also if you're going to be going for an Arsenal attack, no matter what, you need to have your diffuser in hand so you can get the diffuse plant. One thing that we've talked about with Space Station before is that they are dead focused on the objective, especially on attack. At Space Station, get a lot of those diffuse plants. Penta, not so much. Most of the rounds that they've been winning, how they've been winning it, clearing out. I mean, they've been winning their fights. They just get all of the kills, and then they don't need to plant the diffuser. They have planted the diffuser. They did, I believe, in the last round, in the round that they won, pardon, on the very first round.
10 seconds remaining.
But it wasn't a big part of their victory.
That's normally the circumstance of the anchors dying so early on the execute, and the fact that it's usually left down to like 1 or 2 players that might have been rovers earlier on in the round, and that just are either left as stragglers in a bad position, somewhere really far away from the site, or managed to take a good position when they rotated back to the site, and just by circumstance end up being the last player alive.
Exactly. So definitely a difference in focus for both teams. And while these teams are so close in terms of their standings in the big siege Cosmere, they are very different in how they play. So, Penta, they have Maverick. Big tool to have when attacking onto Cache, as you can open up a line on the server wall, allowing for Thermite to open the wall further and denying bandit tricking on a typically easy to bandit trick wall. There are 2 batteries here, but Ravon will make easy work of those just in a bit, I'm sure. As he starts opening up the wall, you can see that actually he doesn't even need to shoot the batteries. Either enemy got them or the torch did. Either way, the wall is now easy for the Thermite to come and open up.
So we'll start to see Penta moving in here in just a few moments. He's keeping close eyes on this Maverick hole. It's been opened up for them to the inside. The cache room to play off of, but not a whole lot being spotted out by them just yet through that hole. They'll, of course, keep eyes on that, though, and Space Station will have to keep themselves very far away from that.
So this right here, what you're seeing from enemy and Ravon, is the best way to open up the server wall. You can use the torch, no exposure at all on the foot level. Then there's no way to bandit trick or mute juggle, even though that's not very common. And then you can rappel up, no exposure on the Thermite, and then you can get that exothermic charge off, and the wall is open nice and clean.
Sheffield, however, able to start things off well with a kill on his own regard, finding Panic. Sir Boss taking some heat here too. Only a little bit, but it is going to be enough to force him away. Ravon, though, finds a trade, but Chala once again holding strong in his position, able to find the retreat onto Ravon. He's incredibly low now, under 25 HP, so he's going to have to move back. The Echo, though, Redeemer gets plenty of warding on that peek due to the arm sticking out, so he'll be able to find Hungry way ahead of time and continue to hold the garage.
Enemy should have gotten that refrag. You could see he caught Redeemer unawares on a very long angle, but he missed the final shot, leaving the 3 armor Redeemer on just about 25 HP. And actually, it's going to be some damage done to enemy before Redeemer goes down. So that is the cost of missing your shots for the Thermite. He does eventually get him down on the floor, but I mean, honestly, that's some damage that shouldn't have come out. Sir Boss now the only full HP attacker, and he will be with enemy coming from the garage. Sir Boss actually downstairs. Is he trying to hold a flank? He's pushing up the main staircase into Cache, but that's an easy engagement for Thinking Nade, and Bosco equally easy onto enemy inside a server. Space Station put 2 in a row, and in fact, this is their very first time putting 2 rounds together.
Absolutely the case, and you can credit a lot of that round due to the lethality of their lurkers, constantly finding picks early on in the round. The timing of which they managed to grab a lot of these kills is pretty much perfect too, and a lot of very unfortunate lost duels by Penta that ended up putting them into such a bad position to try and close out that round. So Space Station, it's just a few more frags they need. They close it out from there, and now they take the lead at 2-1. Remind you on Penta's map pick here.
I mean, we did see Penta win Space Station's map pick, so
true.
Again, you know, it's a weird thing, the way that Siege often plays out. You'll see it go where you'll win your map for, I would say, for 3 months. It will have it be like that, and this is for every team. And then in the next 3 months, it'll be the complete reverse, where you will always lose yours, and you'll always win the enemies. It doesn't seem to have any consistency to it. It's a bit weird how it actually ends up happening.
It's just interesting to note, regardless, considering the fact that teams obviously feel confident to go for a map, and
yeah,
it ends up biting them in the back at the end of the day.
Space Station going to be setting themselves up near Gym Master. This is a good site to hold, especially considering how much Space Station struggled with the basement. And they can't go back yet. Their only two choices right now, of course, are Gym and Bar after winning the basement and Cash. Nobody goes Bar, ever, on this map. It's a site that people just do not defend. It's probably the most changed bomb site after the rework to Clubhouse, and that's probably why. I hear you saying, yeah, maybe the top floor because of the construction edition, that really did change top floor, but I think if you look at it like from a top-down perspective, the top floor sites are, yes, very different because of that construction edition, but the actual sites themselves are kind of similar to how they used to be in terms of the actual layout, whereas Bar is totally different.
Obviously a very open layout on Bar, making it very hard, especially for Space Station, given their current situation, to defend that at all.
Yeah, they definitely put a lot of have a lot of reliance on the anchors. Well, they have a lot of reliance on the anchors, but their anchors haven't been so great.
Yeah,
that's the struggle. So you need the extra cover.
The reliance, so a little bit more so in the recent rounds, though, has been shifting towards the lurkers to try and, or the roamers to try and find impact early on in the round. And thankfully, in that last round, they did just that. Found great kills, really stunted the attack from Penta before any effectiveness could be picked up by them. So hopefully that alleviates some of the pressure on the anchors, but we still need to see them pick up some of the slack here, as unfortunately Penta are still having success on these more direct attacks that they're able to work themselves towards.
Interesting, it's going to be clear into the garage. That's a very difficult thing to do when the defense is on Gym, because usually you're going to have roamers by server and Cash, and those roamers can do a lot of damage to you pushing into the garage, possibly get that easy kill. Now, speaking of easy kill, a firebolt kill, or an asphyxiating bolt kill if you want to be technically correct for Penta. Great job there to Hungry, using only the one to take out Redeemer. Probably the best operator they could have killed in this situation. Echo, so powerful in the late game.
And obviously, again, this allows Penta a little bit more time to go for late round executes, which they've been a big fan of if we look at both maps so far.
Yeah.
So likely that we could see them actually push that even further now because they've taken out the Echo so early on here.
All right, Bandit droned out. That's Bosco just below. He likely has C4 considering his position. But, he will be lit up and finally finished off by Panix, coming into the pool table window. And Panix did eat a lot of damage, but his job is done. He is denied the C4 from below. And that's just one of the fail-safes that Space Station has for an inevitable B defuse plant.
Panix still trying to make sure there's no attempts at a jump out from the garage side of the map right now. And since he doesn't spot much, he'll pop open the windows, give his team a little bit more to work with. Obviously, he himself is not going to be doing a whole lot of these peeking since he's incredibly low, but still opens up opportunities for his teammates to work for here. The Mute will continue to try and play it out, but no, he'll be taken down through the Maverick hole. It's Penta finding multiple kills back to back to back. They shut down the defense once again against Space Station and finally pick up that second attacking round, tying us up, as we would expect, really, at 2-2.
Overall, it just didn't seem at any point that Space Station had a foot in that round. Honestly, it seemed like they were hovering through it, just waiting for it to end. A lot of fail-safes established to hold the B bomb site. And here's the thing. I'm gonna take another step back. I'm gonna talk about how Penta's been playing this. They haven't been focusing on the objective at all. They've been setting up the avenue to execute and plant the diffuser, but at no point has that been their focus. They always want to just kill their opponents. And that is playing into exactly how Spacestation is defending. Spacestation is setting up to deny a defuse plant, which is not... I mean, yes, okay, that makes sense, typically. But Penta don't seem to care about that right now. And so it's hurting Spacestation. They're diverting resources. So, for example, the Ash in that last round panics when he was opening up the castle barricades. He was watching for a peek from the server window. There was nobody from Spacestation there. Why was there nobody from Spacestation there? Because they were too focused on the objective. It's so weird to say, too focused on the objective. Those words in that order don't make much sense usually. But it's true here. Spacestation are playing the tactical game. Penta are just trying to outfrag their opponents, and it's working. It's working pretty well. And
I think one thing that Penta also do very well is they're doing a very good job of hiding those intentions. They're doing a very good job of making it seem like they could go for an execute at any moment.
Yeah.
Keeps Spacestation not necessarily on the run, it's probably a bad use of words, but more so locked into the site and focused, as you were mentioning, on the objective itself.
Yeah, because that last round, what happened? They open up the jacuzzi wall and they start pushing their way into B. They open the castle barricades that they're going to B. They clear out the C4 from below. Yes, of course, they want to plant in the B bomb site. They even got the Echo early on. But what happened? No, they didn't plant. They just killed everybody. And then we've seen that many rounds before when they were attacking onto the basement. They lost this round, but they thermited the wall. They got tricked into Church, but then they also pushed into Arsenal. And they just started fragging out. Again, they lost it, but clearly their focus wasn't on planting in Church. It was just on getting the kills. Now, we'll see if Spacestation catches on to that or if it's going to continue to haunt them. But Penta definitely doing some great work on their play so far. Now, this is kind of interesting. We're seeing two hard destructors, but it's not a Thermite and a Habana. It's a Maverick and a Habana. Maverick on a basement attack is just I mean, he's definitely very useful. You can use him to open up the construction tunnel, for example, silently, and then he can come from construction tunnel when no one expects it. But it's just a little bit weird instead of the Thermite.
Makes sense when you look at the emphasis on hatch play that we've been seeing from Penta when it comes to basement attacks. It's the same exact thing once again. They open up the memorial hatch from the bar and have easy access.
But it's just, you know, now they definitely aren't going to open up the church wall. There is a big difference here. And I mean, I suppose they can definitely make it work. I mean, you can still go for an Arsenal wall take. That's open. You still have the explosive or the impact from the lifeline, as you can see on Sir Boss. But it does limit Penta's options. Given how they've been playing, though, I don't think it's really going to matter.
Well, we'll see. As time is getting low, Penta, like we mentioned before, loves to execute with as little time on the clock as possible. And we're probably going to be seeing something similar to that. Since Spacestation haven't been into this at all, Spacestation has been incredibly quiet on their defense here so far. The Lurkers not really being able to find much of an impact whatsoever here, but that may just be because they've been playing incredibly passively. It's worked out. There we go. The second they run down the steps to try and get access downstairs, they lose their diffuser, but thankfully the trade is immediately there from Panic to keep it even into a 4v4. But time continues to grow lower. We're now under 30 seconds.
That was just a spray through the wall there for Rampy. Good luck. Enemy's going to also take down Bosco. A little too aggressive by Moto. It's just a continuance of the clear here. But here we go. Okay, you've got 13 seconds. You can't get in through the church wall. The Maverick hole's not going to help very much. Forcing your way through the gas canisters and smoke's going to eat a lot of damage in the process, and Spacestation are shredding Penta as they go for this clear, but enemy's in, and he's on 0-0-0 trying to plant, but it's not going to happen. The Yokai drone denies the plant, and that is why you do not push at 15 seconds.
Finally, we see Penta kind of extending their reach on those low-timed executes just a little bit too far. Unable, for once, unable to deal with the anchors on the site. And we see, obviously, the Yokai drone having its usual effectiveness when you execute at such a low time.
I mean, you said it. It's for once. That's the really crazy thing. The fact that that is the first time that Penta's playstyle has really bounced back on them. I'm surprised they've been able to get away with it so many times. Now, Spacestation, is that them catching on? Maybe. But more to me, that was Penta not bringing Thermite on the basement attack. That you saw there, I mean, they were on the last couple seconds. Ron was trying to open up the wall using his Maverick blowtorch. No. There's no time for that, man. You just don't have the time. I think he was probably just trying to disable Black Box, which is a pretty powerful anchor position. And he did do that. But it ultimately did not matter in the end. I will say, though, Penta did come very close to winning that. They did clear out Church. got all of the defenders in church. The only reason they lost was the Yokai drone was still in play, and there was just no time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that goes back to them really having, because of low time, to focus only on a church take. They didn't have time to put any pressure on the other site into the Arsenal room and deal with where I believe, anyway, or I would hope so, the Echo would have been placed in that position.
It's where he's been playing every single time, on defense, on the basement. So, yes, I think you're absolutely right.
And because of that, obviously, he had a very easy time denying it at 0-0. So, into the next round, we are going to go, and we've gone back upstairs to the cash room.
So, Cash Room. This is a site that Space Station has only seen success on, though they've only tried it once before. Now, if they're successful here again, be a very good start to this map for them. And we'll get ever closer to that third map of Consulate.
A bomb has been located.
And of course, makes the series even more interesting if we do end up taking it the distance all the way to that third map. We will have to see Space Station, if they follow through and are able to close out twice on this site. Just like how they have a good record going on to the basement now, 2-1 overall throughout the course of the map. If they can close out this one too, they'll have a massive lead going into the second half, but they'll also have to bring the heat on their attacking side for those 3 more rounds they'll need to close out.
So again, another major difference, and it's the same one. There's no thermite. Attacking onto Cash, not having a thermite is difficult. Luckily for Penta, there is no bandit or mute in play. Instead, they've decided to bring a Valkyrie. Interesting decision-making from both teams. I think some tools that would be very useful not being brought, and that is curious to see. Now, Penta aware of the Jaeger, I believe, in the garage, and he'll be putting some emphasis, I'm sure, on that later. As he is playing lower garage, he is very exposed. You can see we do have Redeemer playing on the catwalk. An enemy could actually probably kill him. Might be covered by the shelves slightly, but if there's the right drone for Penta, that could be a pretty easy kill. The hole in through server wall, very small, and it's going to be an easy bottleneck for Space Station to hold.
Redeemer will continue to patiently wait with the Echo inside of the garage right now. Wait for his opportunity to try and shut down Penta on execute. We need to, once again, see Penta make moves a little bit earlier on here, as they are under a minute now with basically 0 control of the upstairs part of the map. They're going to have to hope they can get into a good position soon or find some really impactful entries against the setup from Space Station, because right now they haven't been challenged at all. But there we go. There's the start inside of the pool room. It's going to be Sir Boss picking up the kill to take out Rampy.
That's a really good start for Penta, but honestly, that's Rampy throwing it at his opponent. He did not need to expose himself so greatly. Panic's also going to take down Chala, but Thinking Aid able to fight back. It's not over just yet. Here comes the utility from both teams, but look at that, 20 seconds again. Bosco will take down Sir Boss as he vaults in through the window. Panics, though, on the entry from Cash Stairs will get one before being down. Bosco, another one with the C4. Excellent play in the site, but it's just not enough as Hungary able to support his teammates and get the last 2 kills, even one of them being a knife.
And so just like Coastline, we end up tied at halftime now. Both teams are managing to put 3 rounds up on the board for this first half, and we'll now switch sides to see if Penta will be as strong on defense as they seem to be on attack.
I'm honestly so amazed that Penta won that round.
Yeah, I am as well, considering how low the execute timing was and how well secured Space Station seemed to have the site locked down.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Space Station had everything in their way. They had garage control, which is huge. That establishes crossfire between Cash and garage onto server, which is the main entry point for the attackers. They had Cash control well in hand. So for some reason, they couldn't hold the Cash Stairs, which blows my mind. That's probably one of the hardest angles for an attacker to push up is Cash Stairs. I mean, it's the easiest pre-fire in the world. There's very little deviance on that angle when you're peeking it as a defender, and you have so much of an angle advantage. They lost players on Cash Stairs. Bosco tried his best to fight back from Cash itself, but it just all of the rest of his team had fallen at that point. So I don't know. I cannot believe how many times Penta find themselves in a bad situation, push the site with 20 seconds left, and still somehow manage to win it off the back of just frags.
Yeah, it all goes back to that, right? It all goes back to their fragging potential at the end of the day, and the fact that Space Station just cannot seem to win fights when it comes to a site push.
This would be over. This would be long over. So if all that mattered in Siege were strategy, Space Station would have won, I mean, yeah, it would have been a pretty fast first map and second map. Penta have just been out-fracking Space Station time and time again, proving that, you know, you got to have a little bit of both to get that victory. And that's why this has been so close. Space Station, despite losing a lot of fights, are still 3-3 right now, same as they were on the first map at this point.
But now they take on the attacking side, and if Penta's defense has been improved since yesterday, they are able to hold strong sites. Comparatively to what we saw from Space Station, it could still allow for them to easily cut away and take the lead once again over Space Station, just like we saw back on our last map. So Space Station needs to be ready to fight here very soon. Otherwise, we could be looking at a potential 2-0 from Penta.
If I'm Space Station, right now I'm feeling a little bit disappointed by how I did on the defensive half of Clubhouse, and that's definitely going to be eating away at them. Hopefully, it won't be completely detrimental, but oh no, poor droning from Rampy and the rest of his team. Enemy gets a freebie as he walks down the strip club hall.
Even some support coming in from the Yokai drone just to guarantee that. Sir Boss is going to find himself in a bad position, though, inside of the bar, and thinking Nade from the top will be able to take him down, giving his team at least the timeout, 4 versus 4.
We've seen 2 kills already in this round that are based purely on information or a lack thereof. And that doesn't really come down to your fragging potential, that just comes down to positioning strategy. Now, enemy has eaten some damage, and he will be droned out in the strip club. His position known. The question is, how will Space Station choose to handle this? Are they going to focus in on the Vigil or leave him to his own devices? The question of this round, because we're coming down to the last minute, and it is getting even more important what you choose to do with your time. Ravon going to successfully impact Trick the kitchen drop down. A trick that we've seen some teams struggle with, but clearly not Penta.
Panics. Knows his position on the Yokai drone has been revealed, so obviously won't be trying anything with it just yet, just using it for intel. But now Space Station ending up in a similar situation that we often saw Penta in, running down incredibly low on the timer, and maybe not having enough time to execute. It does seem like they're keen on executing well before this timer gets low, however. They're just waiting for the prime opportunity to present itself. Meanwhile, for Penta's side, they're trying to get ready for it, but they've just lost them. Their player enemy, who's been lurking for a long time, finally is picked off by Bosco. And now that does give Space Station the man advantage on execute. They need to go for it soon, though. Time, again, running incredibly low here at less than 20 seconds now. We're going to continue to see now as Chala drops down. They're finally moving in, but smokes have barely even been used. They can just start to throw them out. A second one's going to be deployed. That'll go directly into the face of Chala. We need to see the defuse plant come out soon. She's going to try to do it right in front, and thankfully, I think will have position to do so. Another kill was also picked up, but Penta respond with 2 of their own. The diffuser, though, does go down, but we can see the smoke trying to push. However, Hibana, played by Chala, is aware of this, runs into a Gumine, though, and does not really have a good position to be able to deal with this. She's the last one standing, finds and pick up with the pistol, but unfortunately cannot find that second kill. The trade comes in from Hungry, and he should have plenty of time to stop the diffuser and pick up the round for Penta, giving them the lead at 4-3.
Such a close round you saw there. Space Station tried to pull a Penta, and lo and behold, it did not work, as they did not have the fragging capabilities pushing into the site so late in the round. They did manage to get the diffuser, so props to Chala for that, but it just wasn't enough in the end. Another thing though, Chala expending his ammunition a little bit too quickly there, jumping ahead of himself, and he probably could have clutched that. He knew what to expect, and he predicted the movements of his opponents correctly. He just didn't have a primary weapon to fight back with, and that's his own fault. Now, Space Station down a map and around, and they will be going on to attack once more, as they will be doing for the remainder of this match if we don't get to overtime. This time it's going to be Cash.
And who's the one that ends up clutching it out for Penta at the end of that round? Hey, it's one of the site players. It's something that we didn't often see at all from Space Station, so already we see that strength showing up for Penta much more than it did for Space Station.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Just in terms of raw fragging potential, outright, it's Penta.
Yeah.
And in terms of anchors, Space Stations don't seem to exist. And that's really been, I think, the problem for them on the defensive half. And, you know, they're past that now. They'll be attacking throughout the rest of this match, again, if we don't get to overtime. But I don't know. It definitely put them in a position where now the pressure is even more on them for their attacking half. They didn't need to feel this pressure. This could have been an even out. We could be at 4-4 right now if they had just had a little bit of luck, or a little bit more luck on the defensive half, if they had been able to lock out what should be easy holds from the late pushes that Penta had.
Well, Penta have to be feeling good as they're inching closer and closer to that invitational slot, which will be gained by winning this match. For those of you that didn't follow before, we saw G2 win their matchup versus Empire in the semifinals to go on into the grand finals. And since, obviously, G2 have already qualified for the 6th Invitational, the team that wins this series will be receiving the invite from this event.
Yeah, so the main prize, that invite slot, is won here, and that's what makes this such an important match for both teams, is that means they will get to avoid outright the online qualifiers, which are a very hotly contested series of events for every region and every team in Siege. Now, Vaughn has been doing a lot of work for his team, calling out all of the positions of the Space Station attackers from Adam's spot, and that is going to be a lot of information to have as they know where the push is coming from. Space Station have been going for a very standard take. Maverick, the wall on the server, and then Thermite it later. Enemy's going to get the first kill, though, and a second using a C4. It's unfortunate for Space Station. Great for Penta. Thinking Nate, though, going to fight back, and he will take down Hungary. It's like also a phone call, going to force a lot of these roamers to fall back to site.
It's a good thing, too, because Space Station were in a very losing position for pretty much every battle that had been taken. They've already lost as well. Look at just the operators they've lost. Maverick and Thermite gone, so now they no longer have any hard breach potential whatsoever. Thankfully, still plenty of soft breach, but they need ways to get past reinforcements, and they no longer have that, which is going to make the site take even harder, considering how low the time is once again. Under a minute here, Space Station are going to have to make a move much sooner because of the loss of those 2 operators.
Good information from the Valkyrie cams on Penta's side, and no matter where Space Station choose to push from, they will very likely be exposed. In fact, you see Thinking Nate in the main garage there. He is being called out right now, and on such low HP, he cannot win an engagement if he is not the one shooting first. So that's going to be unfortunate if it happens against him. Penta in a great position to lock this out and put themselves to 5-3. Vaughn continuing to call out for his team, and oh, how does he lose that? Thinking Nade with so little HP lands the headshot. A bunch of misses there from Ravon, and that's going to allow Thinking Nade to nade up the cache stairs. Rampy also takes down Panics, and the nade lands from Thinking. It's just Sir Boss to fight back, and he will take out Rampy, but it's no more as Bosco shuts him down. Space Station win their first attacking round.
And Sir Boss, unfortunately, peeking into his opponent right at the end there, had the diffuser down as well. Tried to play for a little bit of intel, and unfortunately, it comes back to bite him in a very large way. So otherwise, could have just waited up the timer, waited for the push to come his direction. Of course, would have had to be careful of any utility that would have been thrown his way, but still, a 1v2 that he might have been able to close out does not go his way. After that one round, though, Space Station, we're going to see a pause from them.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to take a tactical pause. You've got the momentum back in your corner, at least slightly, and you can solidify that by winning the next round. How do you do that? You orchestrate a strategy specifically designed to attack whatever you believe to be the next site. Now, here's the big trip for Space Station. They don't know what the next site's going to be. Because they were successful on attacking Cache, that means Cache is open, and so is Gym. So it could be either of the top floor bomb sites, could also be Bar, but as we know, that's not going to happen. So Space Station need to figure out where they're attacking first before they can set up a strategy. So the easiest way, I guess, in this tactical pause, moving into the next round, is to set up a strategy for both sites. Though, it doesn't seem to be the focus for Lycan. As you can see, he seems to be just talking to one person there, trying to, I think, maybe correct a mistake that's been being made by one of his players throughout the match. Is very likely what's going on there. It doesn't seem like he's focused on strategy.
Well, we are unpaused now, and it's time to go back into the map as a result of that. It's looking like we're going to go directly back to the same site, actually. Players from Penta seem keen on going to try and attempt this cache room site one more time before switching it off for another one if Space Station is successful again. And again, or once more, if Space Station is able to take control of this site, that'll allow them to take the lead 5-4. Just 2 more rounds away from the second map victory for them, and tying this series up at 1-1.
Penta came very close last time they were here. It was a rally from Space Station that allowed them to come back. Penta did have Valkyrie, though, on the last time they defended this bomb site, and that Valkyrie was so important in the hold. Lots of information, and in fact, a double kill for the player on Valkyrie. So not having that, an interesting change for Penta, and hopefully for their sake, one that will not hurt the defense.
And so now we are going to see players from Space Station come out onto the board, and once again we'll start their probably very slow crawl over towards the site as they'll start moving their way in. First, they bring, relatively speaking, the same lineup to the table. This time we still have, the most importantly, the combo of the Maverick and Thermite to get them into the site from up on top here. And we'll probably see that used right at the start. You can already see the Maverick moving in. The Thermite won't be far behind it. They want to pop the wall early.
Yeah, this is, again, the standard attack strategy on Cash. You're going to Maverick the wall, deny the bandit, or mute, and then Thermite it. But Chala's taking his time here. He knows that he's being fought by the bandit himself. On the other side, Serbas trying to do some damage, but it's not going to happen. Maverick successful, and the bandit charge will be destroyed. Now, the wall opened up from Space Station. They've got that avenue that they need. They haven't cleared out Garage, which means if they decide to push that way, they will enter into crossfire from Garage and Cash Room. A couple solutions you can have, of course, disrupting that defense from below using the Buck, using smoke grenades to obstruct some angles, or just clearing out Garage. You've got many other options, but those are your standard ways at attacking at this point for Space Station.
Well, we can see the door getting popped over here. And Hungry specifically looking to possibly take a fight. He's really not going to have a choice anymore due to the wall being popped open. And of course, is Trill trying to get the goo mines as much as he can. The longer he stays alive, the more effective he's going to be. He does end up getting hit by the lifeline, but will still remain ready to fight. The phone calls on him as well. Just a lot going in Hungry's way. And as you would expect, he is taken out relatively quickly once we see a peek from Chala.
Yeah, that was actually his own Maverick hole through the wall. Great information collection from Space Station and teamwork to allow for that easy kill. Double Legion Trap going to do some damage to Chala, about 25, 26, but not going to matter. The trade is definitely in Space Station's favor, if you can even call it that. Now, with Garage Control, that's the decision Space Station went with, they will not have to deal with the crossfire. Instead, it's just going to be a horizontal battle from Garage, a balcony, and Cash Room stairs. But Serbas is going to try and make it vertical. As he goes downstairs, he has a C4. He could C4 from below with Ravon, who also has a C4. So this could be an easy double up, and that seems to be the strategy for Penta. A call has been made, and the double C4 will be in position now. There is nobody from Space Station in a position to deny this rotation. In fact, I eat my words, as it looks like Thinking Nate is there, and he will eliminate Ravon as he attempts to come from below. All the while, the diffuser has been planted. Serbas able to refrag, so that's a great job for the bandit on the support, but it might be too little, too late. As the rest of the Penta players, the anchors, try to fight back. Serbas will land his C4 from below. Bosco gets one, and Chala another. It's all on the bandit coming back upstairs. He's gone around the world on this map, but he cannot get enough frags to win the round, and Space Station take it.
And unfortunately, that rotate from Penta, which they were relying so heavily on that double C4 to find impact, takes way too much time and is obstructed, of course, but the player is still present inside of the Garage. The one-for-one trade removes its effectiveness, and from that point forward, as you mentioned, it was already far too late to do anything about it since the diffuser had gone down. So Space Station claim yet another round, and most importantly, the lead at 5-4 over Penta.
Look at the kills. Look at the scoreboard. There's a very little disparity between the two teams. I mean, they're lined up, and that just screams how close these rounds have been going. Now, that last round, again, a big part of that is exactly what you were talking about. Two roamers off-site, and you lose your anchor inside of Garage. So you've got two anchors left to hold against an onslaught. 4 attackers pushing into the site. I mean, the odds of the diffuser being denied at that point, even though there was a yokai in play, slim to none. There's too much cover from Space Station, so I really love the coordination from them, but I gotta be honest, Penta threw that round away. Now, a basement defense for Penta, and they have gotten here once before. This is, in fact, the only bomb site that Penta have successfully defended so far on this map.
And so we'll see if Penta are going to have better luck with trying to take control of it a second time. It was incredibly close, if you remember. However, it really came down to their smoke player being able to close things down. think that was Hungry. He's still on it now for this site, as they've gone directly back to pretty much the exact same setup. So hopefully we don't rely as much on him to be able to close things down for his team.
Yeah, the 1 versus 1 scenario, yeah, even if you win it, you really don't want to be there at any point. Now, Penta are going to be roaming, as you can see, but it looks like a pretty light roam, all things considered. Again, this is a bomb site that historically, you know, if you look really far back in Clubhouse, nobody roamed on the basement. But with the rework, it's a little bit more viable, just still very dangerous. And this is one of those bomb sites that definitely does get played a little bit slower by the attacking team. So we've been seeing a lot of slow takes from both teams so far throughout this match, and I don't expect this to be any faster here. Although Chella has managed to work his way over to side stairs, the blue stairs, quite a lot quicker than one would expect. And there's actually nobody holding blue, so this could be an opportunity. If Space Station decide to drone it out, they could easily push into blue with no fight back from Penta at all.
He's gone back outside through trash, though, so it looks like they have a different idea about this. In fact, they might be going through the escape tunnel. A lot of droning emphasis going on in that tunnel right now. And obviously, as you can see, the X-Kairos is going to be used to breach this open, so Space Station definitely trying to plan something through the tunnel.
It's curious that they use the X-Kairos instead of the thermite charges to open that up. It's inefficient, though I'm sure Space Station is going to be able to open up everything they need, so it probably won't matter. Pushing through tunnel, this can work great in tandem with a push into blue. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. 3 players from SSG on blue, 2 players on tunnel. Smoke's coming out, as will the grenades. And here we go. It's a collapse into Arsenal. Chala will eliminate Sir Boss, so that's most of the players in Arsenal taken down. The rotation coming out, though, and Ravon will eliminate Thinking Nate as he attempts to push out of the tunnel. The gas canister from Hungary will also get Chala, and the impacts are doing tremendous damage, but Bosco gets a double kill, and Redeemer's planting the diffuser still. Hungary and Enemy, the last 2 defenders, and they have to retake into Arsenal from Church. It's not a good position to do so.
Locked off site and a man down at this point. The good news is, though, is that both the Dokkaebi and the Zofia are one-shot at this point, so it should be easy for Penta to take them down if they can find them. But at this point, they're remaining nice, secure behind coverage. It's going to have to be Penta that make the next move. They immediately lose one of their 2 players. It's all going to come down to Enemy at this point. In the 1v3 situation, they'll walk right into a crossfire, though. Bosco shuts it down with his pistol, and once again, we see Space Station coming out on top as they inch closer and closer to Map2 being theirs.
Again, I'm going to state it. Strategically, Space Station have been playing this match so very well. Whether on attack or defense, it seems like if it comes down to the objective, Space Station are the ones in the advantage. The fragging power, of course, has been their struggle for the longest time, but that round, we saw them perfectly maneuver around the Penta defense. It was a well-established defense to hold Church, which is sensible, given that Church has been the focus for both teams most of this map, though not the entirety. But there was almost no focus placed on the construction tunnel or blue from Penta. In fact, so little focus that not only was there no one playing in blue, but there was also no rotation between Church and blue, which is, in the setup, so bad from Penta. I cannot believe that they made such an egregious mistake. You saw even at the end there, Enemy, he was meleeing the wall into blue. He was like, I really want to go through this so I don't have to go through the main hallway, but I can't because we didn't open up a hole here earlier.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily a really fast attack that we saw from Space Station. It took a good, 30, 40 seconds, I want to say, for them to actually get into the site from the time they started their push from inside of the tunnel. So you feel like there would have been time for that rotate to have happened, for them to put more emphasis onto the Arsenal room and defend it, but we just never saw it. Those 2 players were still locked inside of Church when the site was completely taken, and they didn't really have any idea about what to do there.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, when we saw, I believe it was Chala, he was on the blue stairs at about a minute into the round, and I was thinking, oh, he's making his position known, and okay, Penta's going to hear that, and they're going to rotate and shoot up that hole, and they never did. So it was a little bit weird for Penta, but I guess good thing for Space Station is able to take that round quite decisively. Now, this is almost the exact same map as what we saw, or in terms of rounds, is what we saw on Coastline. The way the first half ended, it was 3-3, and then one team loses the first round of the second half, but then starts the breakaway. So if this is going to be an exactly the same as, well, not exactly 1 round difference in the first half, but if it's going to be very similar to the first map of Coastline, then Space Station will win this last round, and we will go to the 3rd map, Consulate. But can't speak too soon. Penta definitely a formidable team, and I'm sure they don't want to bring this to a third map. If they can lock it out in overtime, it would be ideal. They're going to have to win, though, 2 rounds in a row to get to that OT, and then 2 rounds after that if they want to win.
And of course, we're going back upstairs once again. It is going to be inside of the bedroom.
5 seconds left.
Try and see if Space Station can shut this down here. So one more round is needed for Penta. They need to pick themselves up relatively quickly as they've gone on a massive losing streak on this defense. And for me, this takes them right back to the problems they were having yesterday. Their defensive side constantly showing signs of struggle and never really being able to pick up any rounds whatsoever. It was the same exact issues that they were having against Chaos in a quarterfinal match. And unfortunately, those issues are rearing their ugly heads once again here on Clubhouse.
So, Space Station. Gonna be clearing from the east, actually. This is interesting. You don't usually see this, and we haven't been seeing much of it so far in this match. There are 2 players, in fact 3 if you count Hungary, who are positioned to deny this push from Space Station. So it's gonna be a straight-on brawl to see who wins this out. 3 in cash and 1 in construction now, actually, from Penta. They have doubled, actually tripled up on this hold. It could work for Space Station, it could work against them. It really is a gamble from both teams.
And as you can hear, Thermite going for the breach as we're going to see Space Station start to send a lot more pressure into this site early on, as they'll be able to take relatively straightforward control over here towards the cash room, or at least get themselves CCTV control. Cash room is going to be a little bit more of an effort, though, as you can see, as there's 2 players from Penta holding on strong control here. They're going to be repositioned or forced to reposition, no, because of good droning that's coming in now, but still, they know about this, so they're ready to take the engagement. Got holes poked in the wall here, but the Maverick's going to do one more. This will reveal his opponent directly, but he's been unable to spot him, just that he knows he's sitting somewhere on the other side. The phone call has done only to confirm it, but still can't get himself enough luck to find his opponent through one of them at this point.
Lots of utility being used here and lots of time being wasted by Penta. Great job there, and the first kill will go to Penta. Ravon, who has been down swiftly after by a grenade. Chala will finish him off as well. Enemy, though, still alive inside of Cash, will get 1 and 2 with the pistol. Space Station find themselves at the disadvantage, but they're still fighting back as Chala takes down another one, and that's enemy, and Cash should be cleared out now for Space Station. The last 3 defenders have fallen back to site, but it was such a brawl from both teams and a lot of power lost on each side. Penta did come out on top, though, not only in the manpower, but also in time. As you see, we come down to the last 30 seconds.
Chala, of course, continuing to find impact on the Maverick right now. The problem is the numbers have been reduced, and once again, as has been the theme of this entire series, time is incredibly low for our attacking team to get into one of these 2 sites, and without a man advantage, in fact, with a man disadvantage, it's going to be incredibly difficult. They'll start to use the Maverick to try and peek in, but no, that's far too obvious. Panics will immediately catch on to that, drop the diffuser, leaving everything onto Bosco with no time to work anything at all. He'll dive right into the site, knows he can't make this work, so Panics will get the final kill as well, and it's Penta staying alive and taking us the distance as they now bring it up, I believe, to 5-6 as our scoreline.
You are, in fact, correct, sir. 5-6 favors Space Station Gaming. And here we go. This is the pattern broken. We will not see the lockout just yet from Space Station. They still have 1 chance to avoid overtime, but they will be attacking onto the basement. And we have seen mixed success on basement from Penta. They have won it once and lost it another time, though, as you noted, the last time we went to the basement, it was a very, very close win for Penta. It was Hungary who clutched it out in the 1 versus 1. So Space Station seem confident when attacking that bottom floor. Last time Space Station attacked the bottom floor, they were given the opportunity, well, many opportunities. They easily got into the construction tunnel and blue, and they didn't even need to fight for that control. And from those 2 positions, they were able to pinch Arsenal and plant the diffuser with almost no fight being brought by Penta.
So into our next round, we shall go the one on both sides. Space Station taking the map and sending us to our 3rd and final map to decide the series, or Penta actually tying us up and sending us into overtime as their 2-0 dream still stays alive with a win on that previous round. Though they go back towards the basement now. We'll have to see if the hold is as successful. Remember, it's been a mixed bag for Penta here. A very close clutch the first time they played it, and the second time they were just run over by Space Station due to a blue stare and tunnel take into the armory.
objective is to locate
I
a bomb
seriously
and defuse
doubt
it.
Penta's going to leave those holes open again.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine them not holding blue and tunnel this time. I mean, you don't have to hold tunnel. You just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And then it's not so much of a problem. Where it comes to blue, that is actually, yeah, that is something that you can hold. It's also something you generally want to open up rotation holes in so that you can maneuver using tunnel. Early on, Bosco going to eat some damage, and he will dish out a little bit to enemy, but it's definitely Penta that comes out on top in that engagement.
Yeah, well, 100%. Bosco's still going to make a push, though. Seems like his opponent hasn't gone away from this one, though, and dropped away. He's going to head back down to the bottom of the blue stick. So just to make sure Bosco doesn't try to make a quick move down to the oil pit to take control in basement. Won't be seeing that more than likely, though.
Ravon. Right. You can see that they're placing a lot more focus on the actual blue. This is what we were talking about. Shoring up the holes in your defense. Once more, Rampy will be coming from the strip club, and this time there's no Vigil there to meet him, so luckily for Space Station, he will persist. It's overall very, again, slow attacks. A trend that has been present in this match, and it makes a lot of sense when attacking the bottom floor, especially considering how focused on the anchors Penta is in this round in particular. It doesn't seem, yes, in fact, they have no roamers right now that I can see. So this is more, well, not standard per se, but this is older clubhouse defense from Penta right now. They're even bandit tricking the church wall.
So far, it's worked out well for them. They've, as you mentioned, gotten good damage on the initial fight that happened in the Zofia by Garage, and they've denied most of the ground that Space Station has looked to take here so far. At very minimum, Space Station gets it, but there's really not a whole lot accomplished from it. It doesn't get them any closer to taking the site. That could be changing over these next few moments, though. Once again, as we inch closer and closer to a 0 timer, Space Station also rushed to get into position for an execute, as we're now just below 1 minute.
Rush is the right word, or it should be at least, but it doesn't seem like Space Station are really committing any more speed to this push than they already have. We do have the church wall control from the hallway. Smoke's coming down to obscure vision. Chala's gonna get the first kill onto enemy and a second one onto Panics. Chala popping heads through that gas canister. In fact, no, through the wall, using Maverick to the best of his ability. He's done a great job and is extending a lead.
Maverick again continuing to find impact. The three of them are going to drop down and try to move in. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. Hungry only able to pick up 1 kill this time, and that's an easy opportunity for them to get the plan inside of the church. It will go down over these next few moments. There it is. Bosco tries to hold, but he'll be pushed out in blue. Knocked out, but it will not matter. 2 trades come back in, and we do see Space Station taking